Well, 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 it turns out the naysayers were wrong. Again, you can go on the road on a short week out west without a lot of your top players and beat the last remaining undefeated team. And now, the rested Packers head into Kansas City to try to win again. Looking forward to talking about all that with you on this episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
I'm Scott Clark from The Gaming Outsider, and I've never been happier to be wrong about my prediction for a Packers game. Now that my voice has returned, I'm so excited to be here with Mr. Wayne Henderson to talk about the outstanding showing of the Packers this weekend.
And me, I am that Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com, and I finally got my voice back from helping root the Packers onto victory in Arizona.
On this episode, number 237 of your Packers Fan Podcast, we're going to talk about the depleted Packers squad on a short week that beat the undefeated Cardinals in Arizona. We have so much to talk about with you, and you guys sure had a lot to say yourselves. We've got a ton of your awesome voicemails from 920-3PACK-GO by email and more.
And then, of course, we're going to preview another tough road game, Packers at Chiefs. And, of course, that includes Scott's keys to a Packers victory. So first, let's dig into the highlights from our huge victory over the Cardinals. And at first, I'm just going to keep it a bit personal because big highlight for me is I was fortunate enough to head out to the Phoenix/Glendale area with my wife, our son, and his wife to see the game. And of course, you remember our friend and former co-host Troy Heinrichs. He and his brother flew out from the Midwest, and we were all invited to stay at Troy's mom and husband's house outside of the Glendale area. Had a great time hanging out, telling stories and so forth. And, you know, Scott, the stories of Midwest nice, they're true. Troy's mom was like, no, we love having all you people come stay over.
Even though they are, Southwest. But hey, they're Packers fans, so they got that Midwest in them, right? Gotta love it. I am so jealous, man, because obviously Arizona is a lot nicer any time of year, but things are getting a little crisp up here in the Midwest, and it just looked like a beautiful night for football down there in Glendale. It looked like a beautiful night. Was it just great weather?
Yes, it was. Just a slight breeze, but nothing to be concerned about. It was great, and there was tailgating. We don't have that at some of the LA games because only certain parking lots are allowed to do these dangerous things like tailgating, but there was full-on tailgating, especially by the Packers fans, and many of them were cooking authentic brats, so I had to partake in that. Met longtime Packers Fan Podcast listeners, Miguel and Sonia Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast. They're really good people. It was great to finally meet them. Also, unsuccessfully tried to meet up with listener CJ Moore inside the stadium at halftime, but it was just too crazy with too many people. We could not find each other, and I'm sorry we couldn't coordinate that, CJ. Next time.
That was hilarious because I just got a random text from him doing a selfie because he was pretty close to the field.
Yeah,
he's a buddy of mine, a listener over at the Gaming Outsider, and he sent me this picture and said, "Wish you were here." And I said, "I was supposed to be there, but my co-host is there." And he's like, "Wayne's here? Give me his number. I want to meet him." So didn't make it happen, but that means we're just going to have to make it happen again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. And as you could probably hear on your TV, there were about 30,000 Packers fans at the game.
Mm-hmm. It's seriously like a split crowd. It really was crazy to watch on TV.
You could actually hear it?
Oh yeah, I mean, but even just looking at the stands, there was just as much green and yellow as there was red out there, which is awesome to see.
It was fantastic. Here's a quick clip of the sounds of the crowd leaving the game. And that sounds like a lot of happy Packers fans, doesn't it, Scott?
Oh, it sure does, man. I would have loved to have been part of that chant.
I wanted you to be there. That would have been just fantastic. Though I must say, I wish it could have been a Sunday night game because then it would have been a lot easier for you to come down, join in the fun. But who knows? Maybe a playoff scheduling of Packers at Cardinals or Packers at Rams. If by some chance we don't end up with home field advantage, maybe that would be an option. But I do have a quick question. Can you guess which NFL team is no longer undefeated thanks to the Green Bay Packers?
I believe that would be the Arizona Cardinals. No longer undefeated. Now officially 7-1 along with the green and gold, which is a very amazing feeling. And what an incredible win it was, man, especially considering all the struggles leading up to the game. 3 of our top wide receivers were out. Still no Bakhtiari. We had injuries on defense. Our defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, couldn't go either thanks to COVID protocols. And it was a short week, and it was on the road. Just insane. And I got to say, I don't want to scare away Davante Adams because he's an incredible player, one of the best, if not the best, wideouts in the league right now. But check out the stats that Aaron Rodgers has without Davante Adams in the last 7 games. And this is 100% true. These are real stats. He's had 19 touchdowns, 1 interception, 293 passing yards per game, a 199.7 passer rating, and 7-0 when it comes to the win-loss column. So we're pretty much proven that we can make things happen even when some of our star players are out. Imagine the strength we would have at full capacity. I just can't even imagine what a powerhouse we would be, and I just really hope that we get some healthy players back.
And like you guessed last week with your keys to victory, Scott, our running game was on fire. I mean, watching Jones and Dillon execute those beautiful running plays, all while not fearing the hits they were getting. I think that calls for chef kisses. Mwah, mwah. I mean, I saw it again on TV because, of course, I had to watch the game again after I got home. But seeing it live, it was like A.J. Dillon was a man on a mission, and then so was Jones. It was just incredible.
Now, I got to ask, when you watch a game after you actually go see the game, do you watch the whole thing front to back, or do you watch like a condensed version of it that's kind of fast-forwarded through each of the plays, or how do you do it?
I watched the absolute entire game. I only fast-forward through commercials and the halftime.
Interesting. But you're right. The running game, man, just keeps getting better and better. That 1-2 punch of Dillon and Jones. I still feel like I'm not used to it. Because being a Packers fan, I'm just so used to relying on our passing game so much. It's so refreshing to see this happen. And again, look at the numbers. A.J. Dillon, 16 carries for 78 yards. Aaron Jones, 15 carries for 59 yards. If we could do that every week, we'd be unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Combined with our passing game, it would just be crazy. And how about that interception by cornerback Rasul Douglas? Did I pronounce his first name correct?
I believe so.
Because if it seems weird that I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's because he's brand new to the Packers squad. In fact, he was picked up on October 6th, just a few weeks ago. The Packers signed him off of the Cardinals practice squad. So it's kind of crazy. 22 days later, he catches a game-winning interception to secure a victory for the Green Bay Packers against his former squad. How cool is that?
You can't make this stuff up. You cannot. It's incredible. And seeing that play happen live, I admit that the first thing I did after he caught it was, any yellow flags? Any yellow flags? There's no yellow flags. Oh my gosh, we win.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that we have to do that.
Well, but because of the situation with the refs not calling a lot of penalties, and on the other hand, calling things that aren't penalties, you always got to look and then celebrate like a maniac.
Absolutely. But keeping the positivity rolling here, another fun stat here is that the Packers have scored 24 or more points in 7 straight games. This is the longest active streak in the NFL right now. 24 plus games in points in 7 straight games. Gotta love it.
Especially if it becomes 8 or 9 straight games in the near future. To me, the only really low light that jumps out was the fact that we had horrific season-ending injuries, not only to rookie running back Kylan Hill, but also to tight end Robert Tonyan. They both have knee ACL injuries, pretty much done for the year, and that's just terrible. Absolutely shocking.
That is a killer blow, especially with Tonyan. I know he hasn't had the explosive season that at least I was predicting, but he's such a. I think he's such a morale booster for the team. He just seems like one of those guys that is just rallying the guys together and keeping positivity in the locker room. He's going to be sorely missed, but I have to imagine he's still going to be there, being that guy. So he'll still have that morale boost there. And Kylan Hill, that play was brutal to watch because both players were injured on that kickoff. Was it a kickoff return or a punt return? I think it was a punt return.
Right in front of us.
Oh man, it was really kind of gruesome to watch. I mean, there wasn't any like broken bones or anything, but it just looked like such a solid hit. And seeing both players just fall to the ground immediately, I kind of got a little freaked out. But got the thumbs up from Kylan Hill as he was carted off. And even though he's out for the season, hope to see him back on next season. And here's to a speedy recovery. I am going to disagree with you a little bit, though, Wayne, in terms of other things, other lowlights. I think our red zone offense is having some troubles. You know, we were down in the red zone within the 5-yard line. Why in the world did we not at least once give the ball to A.J. Dillon when we're at the 1-yard line? We ran 3 passing plays. Dillon and Jones proved time and time again that they can do more than get past 1 yard, and instead we do these passing plays. I don't know. That just was really disappointing to me.
Listener Monica asked the same question, and I don't have an answer as to why we did that. I don't know if perhaps we have a quarterback that changed the plays to passing plays because the running was so on point. Why not just keep with it unless, for whatever reason, we thought their defense thought we were going to run it, so let's psych them out and throw it.
Yeah, but even if they know you're going to run it, you still are probably going to get a yard. I mean, I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you.
I also was a little disappointed that this game had to come down to a game-winning interception, considering how much time we had the ball in comparison to Arizona. 37 minutes, 25 seconds to 22-25. That is a huge, huge win in our column in terms of time of possession. This should not have been a 3-point game by far. It happened a second time on a different series with a delay of game that backed us away 5 yards from the one that ended with a pass batted down. It feels like our offense and defense have switched places in terms of red zone performance. And while I'm really happy to see what the defense did this week, that offense has to do its work in the red zone as well. Also, our backup receiving core was a bit inconsistent this week, but again, I kind of called that a little bit last week with our keys to victory. I assumed we were going to rely on the running game this week, but Winfrey had only 4 catches for 30 yards, but he had 2 drops and also fumbled out of bounds, which could have been a first down. And St. Brown only had 2 receptions. Granted, one of those was a 4th down conversion, but that was really it for receiving plays. There was no explosions going on with the passing game whatsoever, and I don't know. Hopefully that gets. Obviously we kind of expected that to happen with Adams and Lazard out, but Rodgers has so many targets. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more action, but you could see him getting frustrated by the drops as well.
Oh, he was definitely frustrated. I do think that Tunyon had one of the spectacular, motivating, awesome long bomb catches. Unfortunately, that was also the same play he got injured on.
Right.
So that took the shine off of it. And Randall Cobb, I believe, he's not one of the backups, but he really stepped up and made those touchdowns happen. Mm-hmm. And that was fantastic to see Cobb this was his biggest game of the year.
Absolutely. And lastly, it's also worth noting that the NFL did approve a potential Packers stock sale, and the team is going to be making some announcements on Wednesday. So if you are hearing this after that, you know more than we do at this point, but stay tuned for more details on that.
Now, you already are a part owner of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers, right?
Yes, sir. I am a stock-certified owner of the Green Bay Packers, partially.
Me too. I've got my stock certificate right above me as I record, but for people that didn't get to take advantage of previous offerings and they want to get one of the coolest Packers souvenirs and a lot of bragging rights, it could be coming your way. And I guess there's a rule that says that any stock sale that we do like that, because the Packers are really the only team that can do it, is that the money would have to be used directly to benefit fans, like, fixing up the stadium, adding more seats, or doing something. Maybe if they sell enough, Scott, they could double the capacity of Lambeau Field, and I could really move up on the waiting list for season tickets.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I don't think possible to have a 160-seat NFL stadium. But anyways, just throwing it out there. Anyway, let's get into the listener feedback. The voicemail number, again, is 920-3-PACK-GO. Make a note of it because things are getting exciting as we head into the second half of the season, if you can believe it. 920-3-PACK-GO. You can also record your voice message on your phone and then email it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. And please, 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 please send in your feedback right after the Packers-Chiefs game, or worst case scenario by 9 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday night. I know that's a little bit sooner than what we've been asking for, but most everybody sends it in right after the game anyway, which is great because we feel your excitement. But now that I've also got my Don't Blink Doctor Who podcast, and Doctor Who comes on Sunday nights, the double duty in such a short time span, I need your help. So by 9 p.m. Eastern at the latest to be part of next week's show. But let's dig into it because there's some great stuff here from the listeners.
Hey guys, this is Hank calling in. What a great win the Packers had. They were down a ton of players and still found a way to not just be competitive, but to win the game. And I attribute that to excellent coaching. Those coaches had them prepared, next man up, and they made it happen. What a great coaching job and excellent execution by the players. That game was almost unbearable to listen to with the dynamic duo of Captain Obvious and Sergeant Sherlock. Is it just me, or do the Packers draw that combination of hosts more often than not? But what a phenomenal win. And even though the division is down, now everyone can see that the Packers can beat anyone. They're not just going to be beaten up on cupcakes. They're going to be able to stand up to anybody. And who knows? Maybe it's time to hoist Lombardi once again. Especially after the strange events before the season, I'm definitely pulling for them to win it all. Love the podcast, guys. Keep up the great work.
Thanks so much, Hank. I did not really pay as close attention to the announcers this week. I don't know why. I feel like whenever it's Joe Buck, I stand up and take notice. And whenever it's the B Squad on CBS, for some reason I notice, because I think you mentioned something like Captain Obvious. I get a lot of those, but I'll admit I did not notice the announcers too much this week. I was just so entranced by this game and what our defense was doing in that first half that I just was very excited. I like what he said, though, about the coaching. There was, outside of the questionable inside the 1 yard line play calls, it was some excellent coaching. And without our defensive coordinator, with him being out on COVID, a lot of people were saying, what was going to happen with the defense, and the defense was even stronger. So I'm not going to sit there and I made a comment on Facebook about Joe Barry's, going to lose his job. That was a joke. I was not being serious. I was just, it was kind of crazy how good the defense was looking when the guy in charge was gone for the week. But I don't know. It was really great to see, and I hope that trend continues for sure. And yes, the Packers can now officially beat up on anybody outside of the Bucs. That's the only question mark I have, because Tom Brady gonna Tom Brady, but we beat the only undefeated team.
Or Tom Brady can throw an interception right at the end of the game and throw it away like yesterday.
Yeah,
it could happen to anybody. So Hank has borrowed my rose-colored glasses and envisions the Packers hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, which is a beautiful vision indeed, Hank. Thank you so much for sending that in. Hank, over at the TPE network of podcasts, he does the Mouse House Plus podcast, and they have a brand new episode I listened to this morning where they talk about some of the latest news going on with the MCU and other good stuff. So check that out as well.
Wayne and Scott, it's Miguel
and Sonia from Opposites Attract Podcast.
Hey, it's so awesome to be able to meet Wayne and Troy at the game yesterday. Man, I am still buzzing from last night. I am on a high. Still, the game was just, it was an unforgettable day, an unforgettable win. The team played amazing. We actually got a chance after we met you guys to hang out with Eddie Lacy, and we just walked around the parking lot with him and walked into the stadium with him and his friends. And it was an unforgettable night, and we are so happy for the win. It couldn't have been any better. We partied all night long. We celebrated.
Mind-blowing.
And we would have made Andre in L.A. proud, because I almost lost my voice with all the Go Pack Goes. And it was like we were at Lambeau Field. There were so many Packer fans. But it was
unbelievable.
It was so awesome to meet you guys, and we can't wait to listen to the next episode.
Woo! Go
Pack, go!
Go Pack, go indeed. Miguel and Sonia, thank you so very much for sending that in. I listened to your latest episode of the Opposites Attract podcast this morning as well, and thanks for the shout out. Met them at the game. That was great. Scott, I wish you could have been there and been part of all that fun because, like Miguel said, still high from the excitement a whole day later. And after he met up with me and Troy and the gang, hanging out with Eddie Lacy.
Oh, he just like slid that in there, like, oh yeah, we just hung out with Eddie Lacy afterwards. Wayne, you can attest to this because we're on video right now. Did you see the look on my face when he just said, "Yeah, we just hung out with Eddie Lacy afterwards"? But I was jealous that you got to go to this game, and I didn't. And I was jealous that they got to meet Eddie Lacy, but I think the most jealous I am right now is the fact that you got to meet some of our listeners in person. I have yet to meet anybody outside of the people I already knew going into this show. You get to meet Miguel and Sonia. You had not. I would have found CJ. I would have. We would have connected. But that's what really bugs me is I didn't get to meet anybody. So thanks so much for the voicemail, Miguel and Sonia.
Yeah, there's still like another 9 games this season plus playoffs. Yeah. You could beat somebody there. And Miguel giving a shout out to Andre in LA, trying to keep up with his Go Pack Goes. And speaking of Andre,
Go Pack Go! Go Pack Go! I had to call you right after the game. The wife told me, get it out of your system now, otherwise you'll never go to bed. They tried to jerk us on the road. They know that was BS. That was a touchdown. They know that wasn't a first down. But the defense showed up. Not our whole, but our top 3 receivers out for the game. Dude, the running game was there. Aaron Rodgers was great. The defense showed up. The O-line showed up. Matt Lafleur showed up. It doesn't matter. That's championship football, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Go, Pat, go. I love you guys. If I'm here in LA, I know you know it's me. Sorry, I can't help myself. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Go, Pat, go. Way to compete on the road. Wait for the fans to show up. What heart? What heart? Bring on whoever next week. Let's go, Lily.
Andre, you have outdone yourself. That is officially my favorite voicemail we've ever received from you in my 2.5 seasons of doing the Packers Fan Podcast. Wow. Championship level football for sure. I love that he says, I think my favorite part of that voicemail was where he's like just shouting, saying anything, and not our entire career. Like he just had this little like parentheses in the middle of his excitement. That was amazing. Thank you, Andre, so much. I love hearing from you each week. I can't wait to meet that guy in person and give him a big hug. For real.
That was so good to hear. Thank you, Andre. And I love that your wife told you to call right away and get it out of your system or you won't be able to sleep tonight. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate the love. Love you too, man. Oh, man, if the Packers can keep up like this, man, the voicemails are just going to explode even further, which is hard to imagine.
Dude, my wife can attest. I was yelling and screaming at the end of that game too, and my throat started to hurt. I was getting so excited and yelling and screaming, didn't even realize it. She had to calm down the cats and be like, "It's okay, it's okay. It's just football." Yeah, my cats don't like me during football season, pretty much.
They'll get over it.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Mark from New Lisbon. What a great win! It's Friday morning. I had to wait till Friday morning because I was just way too excited Thursday night. As Packer wins go, that's about as good as it gets. And I've been a Packer fan for 50 years, since I was about 10. So, yeah, that was just a gritty, gutsy win to beat an undefeated team on the road where they had some horrible games, in the playoffs, we all know. Just a great accomplishment. If there was a museum of art, like for Packer wins, that game would be hung up on the walls and probably be in the top 5 because for regular season games, I don't know if there's been a better Packer win. I mean, there's been some great ones. And you have to hand it to Matt Lafleur, 38-7. They just put up a graphic on NFL Network that's the best record for the first 40 or 45 games, I think, ever by a coach. So you can't give that guy enough credit to come up with a masterful game plan. It was tactical. It was tough. It was efficient. I think they had a lot of sets that Arizona wasn't ready for. So, yeah, I thought the 49er win this year was really satisfying because we just out-physical a really physical team. But last night was just great. I didn't even expect them to win, and I'm very positive. But, yeah, that was just a great game. So now the Packers have to follow it up and beat Kansas City in Kansas City, and they look pretty vulnerable. So great win. Thanks for the podcast, Wayne and Scott. Go Pack, go. Talk to you next week.
Go Pack, go indeed, Mark. Thank you so much for giving us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. Loved how you phrased it. About as good as it gets as far as Packers wins go, Scott.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I love how he talked about how this is going to go down in history as one of the best games or just memorable games. I can just see this being an NFL Films little segment, like for, going into this game, they were going up against an undefeated team. It's a thing made of magic memories, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
And I agree. It was very gritty, especially because of how we have lost the last 2 or 3 times that we've been in Arizona, including the playoff game I was at a few years ago, lost in overtime, and then early in Aaron Rodgers' career, I believe it was a playoff game when you talked about it last week, one of the highest scoring games where there was the face mask against Aaron Rodgers, and it wasn't called. And, oh well, we got revenge, and Lafleur, best record for the first 40 games ever.
What an impressive stat that is. And the more I hear him speak, the more I just really respect the guy. A friend of mine, I think I've said this in the past when talking about dealing with Bears fans, win with grace, lose with dignity. And he's just the epitome of that. Just he does not seem cocky. He's very. There's something about how well groomed he is, and just seems like an all around great guy. I don't know. I just really enjoy watching him, and he does get fired up a little bit on the sidelines once in a while, but he never loses his cool completely. And I think that's important for the team camaraderie. And man, to do better than Lombardi, it's just he's gonna go down in history for that. He literally has gone down in history for that. Love it.
Wayne Scott, Art from Texas. Woo, man! I meant to call you guys earlier, but the scene was pretty wild at my place. I tell you what, those Packers marched into Arizona. They wound up their slingshot and they hit the giant on the temple. That's what they did. I could very easily call them the cardiac Packers, but I'm not. They're the resilient Packers. Wow. Man, the defense. I wonder maybe we would carry this defense the whole way through. Well, with the exception of bringing back Jair Alexander and Za'Darius. I think it should be Za'Darius, Rashawn Gary, and Campbell. Of course, Preston. Rotate those guys. Wow, man, they played awesome. Douglas, I told my brother about Douglas. That guy's up and coming. He still needs some work, but very impressed with that guy. The whole defense, wow, they stepped it up. Wow. The offense, wow. Sorry, but Rodgers is the GOAT. I mean, I know it's a bold statement, but wow. Can't wait for everybody to get healthy, especially Tanyan. I hope it's nothing serious. I don't know how serious it is as of this phone call. Whew, I'm pretty stoked up. Wow. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for the podcast. Go Pack, go. Green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Ow!
Thanks so much, Art. I love that his favorite word in that entire voicemail was wow. He's just like, man, the offense, wow. The defense, wow. What else can you say but wow? What a bold statement. Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Whoo, that's you. All right. You went with that. Okay.
Well, let's just say, how would Tom Brady have done if his top 3 guys were out, and his center, and his star left tackle?
That's That's a fair question. I will have to wait and see if that happens. But I like that he called them, instead of the heart attack Packers,
right?
Instead of calling them the resilient Packers. This was a true test of resiliency for sure. The fact that they were able to knock off an undefeated team with such a decimated team due to injuries does make them very, very resilient. I really wish I could have seen the scene at Art's house, because he was even. It was well after the game that he made this call. I really wish we could have heard how wild it actually was, because man, he was still calming down in this voicemail.
Hey guys, this is Matt in New York, formerly of Chicago, and before that the 920. What an insane game tonight. I knew this game was going to be exciting and it was going to be good and the Packers would show up and do their best, but I don't think anyone could have predicted that it would have gone the way it did. I don't think anyone can argue that the Packers dominated the entire game. It looked dicey in the last few minutes, but overall the Packers stuck to their game plan. They actually ran the ball effectively, unlike last week versus Washington. And to go on the road on a Thursday night to play the best team in the NFL on a short week without their top 3 wide receivers, their defensive coordinator, and their top tight end going out early in the game, and pull off a victory, and with their defense finding a way to force turnovers consistently throughout the game, is just incredible. What a statement win. The Cardinals fall to 7-1. The Packers rise to 7-1. There's no doubt the Packers are one of the best teams, top 2-3 teams in the NFL right now. Love the podcast. Love listening to all the feedback from the callers. Shout out to everybody out there who's a Packers fan. And I hope you got to watch this game. It was one of the best games I've watched in my life. Go Pack, go. Green and gold till I'm dead and cold. Bye, guys.
Awesome. Go Pack, go, Matt. Thank you so much for giving us a call. And I agree. I don't think anybody could have predicted this game would actually go this well. Even those of us predicting a victory could not have scripted how it would have come together, with us sticking to the game plan, running the ball effectively, and the defense getting turnovers at key moments.
Absolutely. And I can tell you from looking at the line leading up to the game, nobody was predicting a Packers win at this. Almost everybody was picking Arizona. So I imagine that there were some people that made some good money on this game. It was insane to watch, and one of the most fun games I've watched in a long time. Agreed.
And Matt, thank you for calling out the listeners and how much you love listening to the different pieces of listener feedback that we include in the show, because that's always been a focus of mine since starting the show about 11 years ago, was to truly make it a Packers fan podcast, not just by fans, but also for fans and including fans, and putting it all together.
Go Pack, go, go Pack, go. Wow. Phil from Kansas City here again, man. First thing, A.J. Dillon is a stud. It takes 2 guys to tackle that man. Every time. You ain't tackling him without 2 guys. Second of all, during the draft, I was looking for Green Bay to get Rondale Moore. Thank God we didn't. The stars aligned. He went to Arizona. Muffed up punt return. We should have got a touchdown on that. And then he had a fumble or something. I'm kind of ecstatic right now. It's right after the game. So I don't exactly remember what he did the second time, but he was the reason for 2 turnovers. Randall Cobb. That is all. And then, man, there in the fourth quarter, I would say I was worried, but I've always got faith. Man, Rasul Douglas, what a pickup. What a pickup. That guy, he was our top-graded defensive back last week, and then this week, played lights out. I mean, granted, no Nuke Hopkins, but look at all the people we are missing. So you can't really say Nuke going out was that big of a deal. Sorry, I got some hiccups. But Rasul Douglas, man, what a stud. And Rashawn Gary, stud. Aaron Rodgers, like I said last week, still the daddy of the North. What a great team win. Like last week was a great team win, but this week the defense looked like a top 3 defense, if not better than that. Like our defense looked great. Okay. Like just holding the best offense in the league to under 20 points, exactly 20 points. I mean, come on. You can't ask for better than that. I mean, I'm just excited now. I'm going to the game next week. I live in Lenexa, which is a few minutes outside of Kansas City. But got my tickets early before the season started. Let's go Packers, beat the Chiefs. Go Pack, go, man, what a win. Let's go. Go Pack, go.
All right, Phil, thanks so much. Apparently the word of the week is wow. And wow. I would almost argue that it takes 4 guys to bring A.J. Dillon down because holy cow, is he tough to stop. I've been saying, right? Those huge legs he's got, man, is going to be rough to keep him contained. Absolutely. And yeah, Randall Cobb, that is all. Wow. Brazil Douglas, wow. Rashawn Gary, wow. Everybody was just spectacular. Outside of some coaching play calls inside the 5-yard line, it was nearly perfect. I mean, obviously not perfect because it would have been a shutout, but what are you going to say?
I would like a shutout one of these games this season, or maybe all the rest of them. Who knows? But
you know what's interesting? I actually almost texted you today, Wayne, is I have an app on my phone called Time Hop that basically goes back to your social media and shows you posts that you made on this day, however many years ago. And I had a post, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, that when we played on Halloween, I don't remember who it was, but I had created a post that said that we shut out whatever team we were playing. And I was like, oh man, I'll bet Wayne would love to see that. But hey, a win is a win.
Definitely. That is so cool, Scott. And Phil, thank you so much for your call. Enjoy the game this week in Kansas City. Root the Packers on to victory. And now it's Megan and wait a minute. What's going on here?
7 and 1. 7 and 1. 7 and 1. 7 and 1. Go back, go. Go back, go. 7 and 1, baby. Can you believe it? Woo! This is Megan. I have still lost my voice, by the way, after the game 2 weeks ago, screaming so much. The craziest game of that day. Anyways, I have a different guest this week. I'm in Colorado. This is Morgan. Woo! Go back, go. She is a converted fan and now a new guest of the Packers Fan Podcast. Matt Lafleur, honestly, so I don't know how we got so lucky to snag him. He breaks records like all the time. He runs good plays. He works really well with all the coaches and all the players, and everyone just has always like high praise to say about him. And he's young. I mean, he's just really making a name for himself already. 3rd year in. And thriving defensively. Go deep. That guy, that interception, the game winner, literally the game decision was insane. And you can't make up that kind of story of him being there 3 weeks ago, practice squad released him, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows. It was pretty cool. And he's actually showing like really, really good talent. So, and we need him at this point. So, oh yeah. Good for him. And okay, so I also want to talk about Stokes. He gives so much effort all the time. He's always trying, and he went up against DeAndre Hopkins, so I give him a lot of credit for the effort, like, to do that. And it's also kind of cool that he has a chance to do it. We miss Jair so much, and Kevin King, too. We don't want him to be injured or sick, but it's good for Stokes. Anyways, lastly, Henry Black's interception. That was huge because he capitalized on it. It was kind of like another momentum, moving us forward. And Joe Barry, get well soon. Like, major props to Gray for coming together. They kind of worked together, everyone, and then, like, with Campbell and then play calling and everything like that, despite all the adversity. D-Train all the way! Woo! Don't need that! I feel like if my voicemail's gonna get cut off way sooner, I might have to call you back. Don't forget Tunyon! Tunyon, I know, but he's with Tunyon! We love Bobby Tunyon, honestly, so our hearts go out to him so much. Like a stand-up human being, completely separate from football, And then when it comes to football, he like puts so much time and energy into his craft. And you look at his like stats from last year. From last year, they're like lots of scoring. This year, it's like a lot less stats and like performing blocking wise and doing things like that to help the team. And he just does it. It's awesome. He's like the baddest tight end in the league, you know. And the only silver lining too that I found with his ACL is timing wise potentially to like get him back next season. Like with Dave, I don't know. It's just something I thought about. But I feel for him, yeah, speedy recovery. I was gonna eat some Funyuns today, but I didn't. But I will. But anyway, so I have a little bit of offensive props to give. Last week Pete mentioned Matt's like dutiful commitment to the run. He maintained that, and I thought they were more successful this week. Honestly, AJ and AJG are literally the perfect RB2 in the league. Prove me wrong. We cannot. Go Packers! Super Bowl 2022! It was cool to see their Halloween costumes. It was sweet to see them partying together and have some time off, you know. They get like a little break, and we will see them on Sunday. Go Packers! Go Packers! 7-1! 7-1! 7-1! Number one in the NFC, baby! Woo!
7-1, 7-1. Megan and Morgan from Colorado. Thank you so much for giving us a call or two at 920-3PACK-GO. And yes, our hearts definitely go out to Bobby Tunyon. Terrible injury. Was looking forward to him doing great things the rest of this year, but I guess we'll look forward to him coming back next season. And you know how last week, Scott, Megan and Pete were pretty sure that they saw you at the Packers game at Lambeau Field. But apparently you claim you weren't there. I thought there might be Pete and maybe Megan behind me 2 rows, because I know they had talked about coming out to the game, but then they couldn't, because we were all shocked about the Bobby Tunyon injury. But there was a guy 2 rows behind me that was just really shook up from it. He's yelling all the way across the stadium, "Bobby T, I love you! Come on, get up, Bobby T, I love you!" It was incredible and great support for Bobby Tunyon. And yeah, Megan couldn't have scripted this game. And how about AR-12's Halloween costume, bringing back the John Wick?
Oh, that was... they mentioned something at the game that he was doing it for a Halloween costume, and we were all kind of like guessing, like, what could he possibly be doing? And then that picture showed up on Twitter of him holding the dog's face as black and white compared to that was good. Yeah. Now the question is though, does that mean the beard and the hair is going to be groomed for Kansas City, or will that lose some of the mojo? I don't know. You know,
if I would have had clearer thinking from all the excitement of the game, that would have been my poll for our weekly poll on Twitter and in our Facebook group. But I went the snarky route. Can you guess which team is now in first place in all of the NFC? And before we get to the results and comments on this poll, Dictus from the Netherlands commented saying, "I can't wait for the extensive, in-depth breakdown of this particular poll." Is the first place team in all of the NFC the Packers, or the Packers, or maybe even the Packers? It was a 3-way tie, unanimous win for your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers.
So did it actually work out that it was a third for each of the individual votes, or did you just kind of split them up?
I just kind of split them up because combining Facebook and Twitter and all the different variations of Green Bay Packers, the Packers, it's all the same wonderful team.
That's awesome. We had some comments on this as well. Megan wrote in and said, "This made me chuckle," with all kinds of emojis attached to it. Thank you, Megan. That is a mother of one of my students. Love it. Also, Sir Troy Heinrichs, who was at the game, said it was the Packers' first road win against the Cardinals since 2009. So that's huge, for sure.
Huge, definitely. And Rick in Wisconsin, I'm glad my prediction was wrong, but we were very nervous near the end. My wife normally has to get up at 4 a.m. to watch our granddaughter. She said, if I stayed up this late just to see the Packers lose, I'm going to be so mad. I got up at 4 today and let her sleep in. Hey, good job, Rick.
Tell you what, Rick, my wife and I also both get up at 4 a.m. each morning, so we still stuck it out, and I sure am glad we did.
And Monica said we could definitely hear you and all the other Packers fans.
Nice. David Newman wrote in and said, love to see them in first place. Not sure how seeding works, but it might be second come Sunday, depending if conference record is tiebreaker or SOV. But at least until Sunday, first place, baby. And I checked. I mean, we would get the edge over Arizona for sure because we beat them. The only other 7-1 team in the NFC right now is the Rams, and they're actually seated lower than the Cardinals. So I don't know how that works in terms of, they have more points. The point differential, the Rams have an edge on us. But I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? Either way, we're tied for first place. So who knows what's going to happen? We
are in first place. We own the tiebreakers. I think we have a better division record than the Rams right now. So basically, if we win out, we're number one.
Easy, all you got to do is just win the rest of the second half of the season. That's all we got to do. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for the comments there, guys. If you'd like to join, do so in our Facebook group and let your voice be heard. We have lots of good conversations going there, especially on game day. I know that you were at the game, and I didn't expect you to be in there making comments, but you did a couple. But it is a ton of fun. So please join in that conversation. It's great. I'm there during commercials, of course. Some other great posts and comments unrelated to the poll question were made at the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, which you can find at packerscommunity.com. First off, Dictus in the Netherlands said, everybody who was at the game take an extra victory lap. And he was referencing a tweet from at Packer Ranter that said, I believe Cliff Kingsbury implied that AJ Green didn't hear the check at home, which means Packers fans helped win the game. So the Packers fans were so loud when we were on defense that we were actually keeping AJ Green from hearing the proper play call, which is awesome. I just love that. Also, Bill Gardner and Jason Faltenek both shared a picture of Aaron Rodgers' Halloween costume, which we talked about just a little bit a while ago.
Let's check in the email bag and fax machine and see if we got anything this week, Scott.
All right, first up. Hey, Wayne, this is CCR from Green Bay, Wisconsin. So many great plays, including Randall Cobb's 2 touchdowns and Aaron Jones' touchdown. We had a few bad moments, including Robert Tonyan tearing his ACL. It was crazy that we couldn't get the touchdown on 4th and 1 at the 1-yard line. I know, right? We are hoping that we get some of our wide receivers back this coming week. Go Pack Go and bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher.
And Go Pack Go, Go Pack Go. Many more. The Heart Attack Pack are back once again this season, and what a heart attack for the last few minutes of the game or so. What a game to have on Thursday Night Football to begin week number 8. Oh, and Wayne and Scott, this is Stephen Verheeren checking in from Palace Park, where the hometown Chicago Bears, well, you know. And I'm happy to say that I'm glad I'm wrong, that I didn't think the Packers would be able to defeat the Arizona Cardinals, as no team's been able to do it so far this season. Well, Stephen, that's how it goes. And that's why, much like at the end of the commercials for stocks and things, it says past performance does not guarantee future success. So take that, Cardinals. Back to his email. The Packers player saving our bacon, I'm sure that goes to none other than Rasul Douglas. Earlier in the season was actually an Arizona Cardinal on the practice squad. Wayne, did you manage to survive the heart attack game right in person? No, I did not. But here I am. Packers, don't burn off all 3 of your timeouts in the second half when you're only up by 3 points or so. It makes the other team have it too easy to try to catch up. Okay, I'm going to check out for now. Go Pack Go, Go Pack Go, Go Pack Go. Stephen Verheeren.
Awesome. Jared in Colorado writes in and says, that Thursday night matchup was one heck of a game. With the injuries and players on the COVID list, they essentially limped into Arizona and executed a game plan that I think the rest of their league will look towards now that the Cardinals have their first loss. The defense played amazing, with Kyler Murray being pressured pretty much all game and throwing 2 picks. Although it was frustrating in the second to see the defense let them drive up and down the field, it was only a matter of time before that offense got clicking. The Green Bay offense did a fantastic job with time of possession. The red zone offense continues to struggle, especially when the stats show a game where the Packers should have had a lot more points on the board, but I'm not sure how much that is due to a bunch of no-name backups and practice squads players going up against the number 1 defense in the league. Just saw a stat that out of A.J. Dillon's 78 rushing yards last night, 61 of them came after contact. 61. I'm super pumped about the win against the Cardinals, but it still baffles me how Lafleur didn't throw Dillon in at the goal line to try and pound the ball in at the end of the game. Would have made that last Arizona drive moot. To close this out, what I'm excited about most with the 2021 Packers team is their grit. Look at how tough their schedule has been. Look at the injuries. And look at having only lost one of those games. I think the word Art told us was resilient. Mm-hmm. This is a battle-tested team. They've consistently been faced with impossible odds and still managed to win. As nice as it would be to see them be on the number one offense like they were last year, those teams don't necessarily always make it to or even win the Super Bowl. A lot of times, it's the teams that had to crawl, scratch, and fight for every yard, every first down, and every score in order to succeed. That just may be their ticket to the Super Bowl, folks. Wow. Put that on a plaque.
Wow. And making a comeback in this podcast episode. But yeah, that's got me fired up. That is fantastic, Jared.
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody for all of your calls, emails, comments, and support. Remember, to join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of the conversation, head over to packerscommunity.com.
And now, looking to the future, your 7-1 Green Bay Packers are staying on the road and going into Kansas City to play the Chiefs Sunday, November 7th at 3:25 p.m. Central. Believe it or not, the Kansas City Chiefs lead the series 7-5 and 1 tie. But I'm good with that since we beat them in the first ever Super Bowl. Speaking of which, Super Bowl I, a 35-10 victory for Lombardi and the Pack. And word is, Scott, that Vince Lombardi was very nervous leading up to this game because of the huge pressure to not lose to those punky upstarts over in the AFL. I mean, you would not want to be saddled with that embarrassment, let me just say. A memorable game for me was Monday, September 28th, 2015, Chiefs at Packers. We won the game 38-28. My wife and I went up to Lambeau. Luckily, we checked the weather forecast that day, picked up some ponchos at Walmart on the way to the game because there was a lot of rain that started almost right at the end of halftime. And a great victory over Alex Smith and the Chiefs. And KC just kicked off their Monday night game this week as we record, because we prefer to record the podcast than watch football. They're playing the Giants right now. So although they should win and go to 4-4, you just never know. They could be 3-5 when the Packers come into town.
Who knows? As for me, my most memorable game is not a good one. If you guys remember me talking on the podcast how seriously my wife and I take kickoff and seeing kickoff, and if they lose, it's your fault. That was a game against the Kansas City Chiefs, game 17 of that season. We were undefeated for the entire season leading up to that game 17, and that was the game I showed up to the bar late. I have not lived that down to this day, so please make sure that I see kickoff this week for sure. I know it's all just superstition, but it's a lot of fun. Anyway, I had a fun fact of my own, Wayne. 2007, the Packers beat the Chiefs 33-22, and this game put Favre in the stat books as putting him as only one of two quarterbacks at that time, Tom Brady being the other one, that had beaten all of the other 31 NFL teams while playing for the same team. That was a game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, knowledge bombs coming our way. And this Sunday, the weather forecasting Kansas City looks like another perfect weather game, mostly sunny, 61 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, about 16 degrees Celsius. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
All right, on to my keys to a Packers victory, and I got to be honest with you, Wayne, this is very difficult for me to put together because I have no idea what's going to happen at the game that started literally just a few minutes ago. I'm really unsure of Patrick Mahomes' condition or how they're going to play and what their mentality is going to be going back to Kansas City to play against us. But I'm going to go ahead and do my best and just give some pretty solid answers here for what it's going to take for the Packers to beat the Chiefs. First off, take advantage of the extra rest. A big key to our win last week was resting our running backs in preparation for Arizona. Since we have an extra 2 or 3 days before we have to take the field again, this is a good opportunity to do the same thing, but this time with our wide receivers. Although it's still unclear if we're going to have Adams or Lazard, the Packers have proven that they can be successful without them. And with a lackluster secondary on the Kansas City side of the ball, I would expect the passing game to be utilized a lot more this week. Secondly, it should go without saying that we need to contain Patrick Mahomes. We have yet to see the other State Farm rep play this week, Like I said, he's playing right now. But even with a slight injury, he's as much of a threat to the Packers as Rodgers is to the Chiefs. We have to expect lots of throws, so the secondary needs to be extra tight. The key is going to be watching his eyes, not his head, which admittedly will be near impossible for long throws, but doable in those short, quick pass plays. Don't let him fool you. He's also very mobile, so keep him wedged against the sideline when he gets out of the pocket. Lastly, no resting on our laurels. I've used this one in episodes in the past, but the Chiefs' record is not indicative of their potential, despite the questionable defense. And even though we're riding high with our lead in the NFC North, it is absolutely no time to let this one get away from them. We're still away from Lambeau, and Kansas City is in desperate need of a win right now. They won't go down easily, and this is a much harder win for the Packers than it looks on paper. Take the lead early. Don't give it up. There's still half a season of football remaining, and every win keeps our team that much ahead. A loss here would be devastating in terms of keeping momentum going, so it's paramount to keep treating this game and each subsequent game as if it were playoff season. And there you have it.
I think if the Packers tune in and listen to your keys to victory and take them to heart like they did this past week, I think that's gold. That's golden.
Absolutely. And now it's time for our score predictions from last week. Not that the points matter because Wayne gets the point anyway because he chose the Packers to win. I predicted that the Cardinals were going to win. But the score of the game was Packers 24, Cardinals 21. I said that the Cardinals were going to win 30-21. Wayne said that the Packers were going to win 31-28. My differential was 12 points. Wayne's was 14. So I actually had the better differential, but unfortunately, I chose the wrong team to win the game.
Yeah, that's not a good way to go. Oh, well, either way, I will take the victory. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you.
For sure. This week, I'm going to go ahead and predict that the Packers are going to win. The score is going to be 27-21. I think that the Packers are going to be able to keep that time of possession ratcheted up really high, just like they did this past week, but they're going to capitalize on it a little bit more, and that's going to keep the ball out of the Chiefs' hands, and it's going to keep a little bit lower scoring than a lot of people are going to say. So yeah, Packers 27, Chiefs 21. How about you, sir?
Very similar. We're on the same page. I see Packers 28, Chiefs 24, which is going to be a very close heart attack pack game.
For sure.
As long as they win, I'll be very happy. In the NFC North, the Packers are now 7-1. The Vikings, they lost. They're 3-4. The Bears, they lost. They're 3-5. The poor Lions, they lost again. They're 0-8. But like you said, Scott, the season's not quite half over. So mathematically, the Lions are not out of it yet.
That is true. Although I don't know if I was looking at some stats today on NFL.com. The Lions' point differential right now is negative 110.
Ooh.
That means that they have had 110 more points scored against them than they have scored for themselves, which is that is really sad. What happened to the Lions, man?
Does that call for an oofta?
It sure does call for an oofta. But what a perfect week of football for the Packers. Not only did we win, but every single team in our division lost.
As it should be. Maybe it'll be that way the rest of the season.
And I really thought the Bears were going to pull it off too. They were looking good that first half, and then things just kind of fell apart in the second half.
You have to look good both halves.
Exactly. Hey, we've done the same thing, man. The Packers have played 2 quarters of football plenty of times.
But we are 7-1. So the team's going on to their bye week this week, week 9, the Detroit Lions. They will not lose this week, Scott. They will not lose. Also, the Seattle Seahawks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Washington football team. So I don't think that will make too much of a dent in anybody's fantasy teams unless they happen to have Gronk or Brady, whatever.
Pretty much. Also, in the NFL, Calvin Ridley is actually stepping away from football to focus on his mental health. This has actually been a big conversation in football right now, actually just in society in general, about mental health being a big important thing to pay attention to. Jay Glazer actually had an interview with Eagles' Lane Johnson about depression and anxiety. I watched this prior to the game, and then even the Fox newscasters, like Terry and all those guys, had a lengthy conversation about this, really putting a highlight on that and the importance of it. So I know a lot of people will look at that as like, hey, you're getting paid millions of dollars, you're taking a break for free. I don't know. I'm kind of for this, as a guy that's had his own moments as of late. Take a break, man. Give yourself a break.
Amen to that as well. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, Doctor Who is back, and that was a pretty darn good season premiere. So I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow night with my co-host Jada Wilkerson on the Don't Blink podcast. Join in on the fun and find us at don'tblinkpodcast.com.
And speaking of Doctor Who, if you are a fan of Doctor Who, you may want to also check out my podcast, The Gaming Outsider, where we talk about video games. But specifically, one of my co-hosts this week, Alyssa, is playing the most recent Doctor Who video game on Xbox. I have not heard her review yet. We're going to be talking after we finish recording here. But be sure to check that out. This week is also Community Questions Week, where we ask our community to give us video game-related topics to discuss, read their questions on the show, and answer them and make a little conversation about it. So be sure to check that out. Same place you listen to this fine show, or you can also head to our website, thegamingoutsider.com.
The value for value model is what keeps your Packers Fan Podcast in production, especially during the off season, and hopefully helps us improve all the time. Support us at a level that fits your budget. Join in on the fun, and whatever value you get from listening to the Packers Fan Podcast, if you're able to put a financial number on it, then it's truly value for value. Heck, by some chance, if Patreon's not your thing, you can always send in a one-time donation to the show in any amount you want, either by PayPal or buymeacoffee.com. Details in the show notes and at packersfanpodcast.com. But anyway, back to Patreon. Since it is so easy and works so well, be sure to check out the details on how you can join in with that at patreon.com/PackersFanPodcast. Much like Dan Dyler, huge thanks to you, sir, and Go Pack Go for your Jim Ringo-inspired level of support. And Bryant, thank you, and Go Pack Go to you as well for your Willywood-inspired patronage.
Also, Jay Walters channeling Aaron Rodgers with his AR-12 support. Thank you, and Go Pack goes to our Brett Favre supporters. That includes Lawrence Harvey, Andre in L.A., Colm Nolan from Ireland, Scott Boers, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, and Jeff Summerfield. And even more Go Pack goes and thanks to our Curly Lambeau-inspired patrons, Beth Mentink, Joe Christensen, Hank Davis from the TPE Network. Also be sure to check out his Mouse House Plus podcast. This week they get caught up with MCU and Disney Plus news. Don't know if you saw the new trailer today, Wayne, but
yes,
the Book of Boba Fett is looking pretty sweet.
Yes, it is.
And lastly, our other Curly Lambeau-inspired patron, Matt Haig. Thank you for your support, and thanks to everybody for all of your support. We invite you to check out the details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. As a reminder, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. But please follow the Packers Fan Podcast where you listen to your podcasts, and also, please, tell a friend. We'd love to hear from them.
Sharing is caring. And follow us on Twitter at PackersFanPod. Follow Scott over on Twitter. He is at GoCastScott. Follow me on Twitter. What the heck? I'm at Wayne Henderson. And to help the Packers stay on their winning streak, it's now time for Patreon supporter Dan Dyler.
Hey, Packers Fan Podcast listeners. This is your cheesehead from Indianapolis, Dan. And I have just two words for you. Go, 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 Pack, go!